The morning sun rose over New Busan like it had every day for the past 15 years. Governor Tae-min Park stood on his office balcony, watching the children walk to school through the colony streets. Their laughter echoed between the simple buildings that made up humanity's newest home among the stars. New Busan was not the biggest human colony, but it was the happiest. Families had come here from Earth looking for peace and a fresh start. They found rolling green hills, clean rivers, and skies that turned purple at sunset. Most importantly, they found safety for their children to grow up, without the wars and pollution that plagued the home world. Tae-min had been a diplomat on Earth before leading the colonists here. He remembered the endless meetings, the political games, the compromise after compromise. Here things were simple. People worked together. They helped each other. Children played in streets without fear. The sound of the school bell made him smile. Aurora Academy was the pride of New Busan. Dr. So-young Kim had built it from nothing into the best school in this part of space. Human children learned alongside the few alien refugees who had found homes here. It was everything Tae-min had dreamed of when he first imagined this colony. At the school, 12-year-old Jin-Woo Lee was already in the science lab before classes started. He loved studying the strange plants and animals they had found on this world. Some of the creatures were unlike anything from Earth. Jin-Woo kept detailed notes and drawings, hoping to become a xenobiologist like his hero. "Dr. Kim, you're early again," said teacher Namjoon as he entered the lab. The young man had come to New Busan fresh from university on Earth. He believed children were the future, no matter what planet they came from. "I wanted to check on the blue moss samples," Jin-Woo said, pointing to his experiment. "I think they react to sound waves." Namjoon looked at the boy's careful work. Jin-Woo had the mind of a scientist, but he was still just a kid who got excited about discoveries. "That's very good thinking. Want to test it during class today?" Jin-Woo's face lit up. "Really, can Hee-jin help? She's good at making sounds." 8-year-old Hye-jin Choi was indeed good at making sounds. She sang, hummed, and talked to everyone and everything. In art class, she painted pictures of her alien classmates with bright, happy colors. The Zaloni girl with 4 arms became a rainbow dancer in Hye-jin's paintings. The young Keth boy with his blue skin became a friendly ocean spirit. "Humans see beauty everywhere," said Veltar, the Zaloni child's parent, to Dr. So-young Kim during a parent meeting. "Your daughter makes my little one feel special." Dr. Kim nodded. Her own daughter, Min-hee, was in the same class as Hee-jin. The two girls were best friends despite being different ages. Children don't see differences the way adults do. They just see friends. This was the dream Dr. Kim had worked for. When she first proposed Aurora Academy, many people on Earth said it was foolish to mix human children with alien refugees. They said it was dangerous, that it would confuse the children about their own identity. But Dr. Kim had studied child development. She knew that children who grew up with diversity became more understanding adults. They learned that being different was not being dangerous. They learned that fear came from not knowing, and knowledge came from friendship. Captain Boram walked her daily patrol around the colony perimeter. She was former Earth Defense Force trained to spot trouble before it arrived. But after 3 years on New Busan, the biggest problems she faced were lost pets and minor disagreements between neighbors. Sometimes she wondered if she was getting soft. Her military training said to stay alert, to expect attack, to never let her guard down. But it was hard to stay suspicious when old Mr. Kyung-ho brought her fresh bread every morning, or when little Hee-jin drew pictures of her in colorful uniforms. "Captain," called Jin-Woo as he ran up to her checkpoint. "Did you see the new flowers by the east gate? I think they're responding to the magnetic fields from our equipment." Boram smiled. "I'll take a look during my next round." "Stay curious, kid. I will." Jin-Woo waved and ran back toward school. Boram watched him go. These children had never known war. They had never seen planets burned or species destroyed. They thought the universe was a place of wonder and discovery. Maybe they were right. Maybe her generation had been too focused on the dangers to see the possibilities. At the school, Dr. Kim was teaching an advanced class about galactic history. Human and alien children sat together asking questions about the different species and their cultures. "Why did the Vextar Empire conquer so many worlds?" asked Min-hee, Dr. Kim's daughter. "They believe strength is the most important thing," Dr. Kim explained. "They think that might makes right." A small Keth boy raised his hand. "But strength can be used to protect people too, right? Like Captain Boram protects us." "Exactly," Dr. Kim said. Strength is a tool. What matters is how you use it. Heejin raised her hand. If someone is mean to my friends, I get strong feelings to protect them. Is that the same? That's love making you strong, Teacher Namjoon said. That's the best kind of strength. The children nodded, satisfied with this explanation. They went back to their lessons, not knowing that their innocent questions were touching on the fundamental differences between species like themselves and species like the Vextar. In space, far from New Busan, a Vextar fleet was reviewing territorial claims. Warcasty Thekmore looked at star charts showing human expansion into what his people considered their ancient domain. The humans spread like infection, said his lieutenant. They take worlds that should belong to the strong. Thekmore studied the reports on human colonies. Most were small, lightly defended, focused on farming or research. Weak prey, he said. We will remind them of their place. But he did not understand humans yet. He saw their peaceful colonies and thought them cowardly. He saw their mixed communities and thought them confused. He looked at their focus on children and education and thought them soft. Back on New Busan, the day ended as it always did. Children went home to families. Teachers cleaned their classrooms. Dr. Kim tucked her daughter into bed and read her a story about brave explorers finding new worlds. Governor Taemin walked through the quiet streets, checking on his people. Lights glowed warmly in windows. Families shared dinner and talked about their day. Parents helped children with homework and listened to their dreams about the future. This was what humanity could be, Taemin thought. This was what they were building among the stars. Not empires built on conquest, but communities built on hope. He did not know that tomorrow would change everything. He did not know that the happiness and innocence of New Busan had caught the attention of those who saw such things as weakness to be crushed. The stars shone down on the sleeping colony, beautiful and peaceful. The children of Aurora Academy dreamed of discoveries and adventures, of alien friends and human heroes, of a universe full of wonders waiting to be explored. They slept safely, protected by love and defended by hope, not knowing that sometimes love and hope were not enough. The ships appeared in New Busan's sky without warning. Massive, dark vessels that blocked out the morning sun and cast shadows over the colony below. Governor Taemin Park was in his office when the communications array started screaming with incoming signals. Governor, said his aide, voice shaking, we have multiple alien vessels in orbit. They're demanding to speak with you immediately. Taemin's stomach dropped, but he kept his voice steady. Put them through. The holographic display showed a creature unlike any he had seen before. Tall, covered in dark armor with eyes that glowed red and a face that looked like it was carved from stone. This was Warcast Thekmore of the Vextar Dominion. Human governor, the alien said, his voice deep and threatening. You trespass on Vextar territory. This world belongs to the Empire by ancient right. Taemin fought to stay calm. I have no record of any Vextar claims to this system. We followed all galactic settlement laws when we established this colony. Your laws mean nothing, Thekmore replied. Weak species do not make laws for the strong. You have one rotation of this planet to remove all humans. After that, we will cleanse this world ourselves. The transmission ended. Taemin immediately called Captain Boram and Dr. Kim to an emergency meeting. They gathered in the colony's command center, a small room that had never been used for anything more serious than weather coordination. How many ships? Boram asked, checking her security displays. 3 battlecruisers and at least 6 smaller vessels, Taemin replied. We can't fight that. We don't need to fight, Dr. Kim said. We need to evacuate. The children first. Boram was already making calculations. Our transport ships can carry maybe 200 people per trip. We have over 3,000 colonists. It will take at least 15 trips to get everyone out. The children go first, Taemin said firmly. Contact Earth, tell them what's happening. Maybe the diplomats can buy us time. At Aurora Academy, the morning had started normally. Jinwoo was in the lab, excited to show his classmates his experiment with the sound-sensitive moss. Heejin was in art class, painting a picture of the purple sunset she had seen the night before. Teacher Namjoon was reading to the younger children when the building shook. The lights flickered and a low rumbling sound filled the air. What was that? Asked Minhee, Dr. Kim's daughter. Namjoon looked out the window and saw the dark ships hanging in the sky like storm clouds. His training kicked in immediately. Children, we're going to play a special game today. We need to move to the safe room very quietly. But the children were not fooled. They could hear the fear in his voice, could see the worry on his face. Some of the younger ones started to cry. "Are we in danger?" asked Jinwoo. Namjoon knelt down to the boy's level. "There might be some problems today. But remember what we learned about being brave? Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are scared." The children nodded. They trusted Teacher Namjoon. If he said to be brave, they would be brave. Captain Boram was coordinating the evacuation when her communication device crackled. "All evacuation ships, this is Vextar Command. Any vessel attempting to leave this world will be destroyed. The cleansing begins now." "Cleansing?" Boram whispered. Then she understood. The Vextar were not just claiming the planet. They were going to kill everyone on it. She ran toward the school, speaking into her communicator as she moved. "All units to Aurora Academy. Priority protection of civilians. This is not a drill." At the academy, Dr. Kim had arrived to help with the evacuation. She was moving through the hallways, making sure every classroom was empty, when the first energy blast hit the building. The explosion was massive. The east wing of the school, where Jinwoo had been working in the lab, simply disappeared. The blast threw Dr. Kim against a wall, but she got up and kept moving. "Namjoon," she called. "Where are the children?" "Safe room," he called back, blood running down his face from where debris had hit him. "Most of them are in the safe room." But the safe room was in the east wing. The east wing that was now a smoking crater. Dr. Kim ran toward the destruction, calling for her daughter. "Minhee! Minhee, where are you?" She found bodies in the rubble. Small bodies. Jinwoo Lee, the curious boy who loved science, was buried under what had been his laboratory. He still held his notebook in his hand. Near him was Hee-jin Choi, her arms around two younger children she had been trying to protect. "No," Dr. Kim whispered. "No, no, no." Teacher Namjoon appeared beside her, carrying a wounded child. "We have to go," he said. "The building is not safe." "My daughter," Dr. Kim said. "I have to find my daughter." Namjoon gently took her arm. "Dr. Kim, the safe room. It was hit directly. No one in there survived." The words hit her like a physical blow. Minhee was gone. Her beautiful, curious, kind daughter was gone. More explosions rocked the building. Namjoon pushed Dr. Kim toward the exit. "We have to save the ones we can," he said. They made it outside just as another blast brought down the main building. Namjoon shoved Dr. Kim clear, but the falling debris caught him. She heard him scream, then silence. Captain Boram arrived with her security team, but it was too late. Aurora Academy was destroyed. 18 children were dead, including the brightest and kindest souls of the colony. Teacher Namjoon, who had given everything to protect his students, was dead too. Dr. Kim sat in the ruins, holding her communicator with shaking hands. She activated the emergency broadcast system that would send her message across human space. "This is Dr. So-young Kim at New Busan Colony," she said, her voice breaking. "The Vextar Dominion has attacked our school. They have murdered our children. Jinwoo Lee, age 12. Hye-jin Choi, age 8. My daughter Minhee Kim, age 9. She listed every name. Every child who would never grow up, never laugh again, never discover the wonders of the universe. They didn't just attack our colony," she continued, tears streaming down her face. "They murdered our future. These were innocent children who had never hurt anyone, who dreamed of friendship between species, who believed the universe was a place of wonder and hope." The transmission was picked up by communication arrays across human space. On Earth, in the colonies, on ships traveling between the stars, humans stopped what they were doing and listened to a mother's grief echo across the galaxy. In orbit above New Busan, Warcast Thekmore watched the burning school with satisfaction. "Let this be a lesson," he told his officers. "Humans must learn their place. The weak do not negotiate with the strong." He activated the planetary communication system and broadcast to the surviving colonists. "You have seen what happens to those who resist the Vextar Dominion. You have 72 hours to abandon this world and all others in our territory. Any who remain will be cleansed." Governor Taemin Park, helping to dig survivors from the academy ruins, looked up at the dark ships and felt something change inside him. The diplomatic part of him, the part that believed in negotiation and compromise, died with those children. "Captain Boram," he said quietly, "send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. Tell them exactly what happened to our children." Boram nodded, understanding. "What should I say?" Taemin looked at the small bodies being pulled from the rubble. at Dr. Kim weeping over her daughter, at the other parents arriving to find their children gone forever. "Tell them the Vextar have declared war on humanity's children," he said. "Tell them we need more than diplomats now." The message went out across human space, carrying images of the destroyed school, the murdered children, the grief of parents who had lost everything. It carried Dr. Kim's voice naming each child, ensuring they would be remembered. What the Vextar did not understand was that they had not just killed 18 children. They had awakened something in humanity that had been sleeping since the species reached for the stars. They had reminded humans why they were the most dangerous species in the galaxy, when their young were threatened. The children of Aurora Academy were gone, but their deaths would light a fire that would burn across the galaxy. The message from New Busan reached Earth 12 hours after the attack. Admiral Sun Ho Kang was in his office at Earth Defense Command when his aide brought him the priority communication. He had been reviewing routine supply reports, thinking about his own children who were safely at school on Earth. The transmission began with Dr. Kim's broken voice. Sun Ho listened as she named each murdered child. He watched the footage of the destroyed school, the small bodies in the rubble, the parents crying over their lost children. When it ended, he sat in silence for a long moment. His aide, a young officer named Jun Ho, waited nervously. "Sir, what are your orders?" Sun Ho stood up slowly, his face hard as stone. "Contact all fleet commanders. Emergency recall of every ship, every crew, every soldier. I don't care if they're on leave, in training, or on the other side of the galaxy. Bring them all home." "Sir, that's the entire defense force. Every ship in human space," "Yes," Sun Ho said quietly. "Every single one." Across human space, the message spread like wildfire. On colony worlds, in space stations, aboard merchant vessels, humans stopped what they were doing to watch the footage from New Busan. They saw Jinwoo's notebook still clutched in his dead hand. They saw Hyejin's artwork scattered among the rubble, her bright paintings now covered in dust and blood. President Kyung-mi Han called an emergency session of the Human Assembly. Representatives from every world, every station, every human settlement gathered in the Great Hall on Earth. Many had tears in their eyes. All had anger in their hearts. "Fellow humans," President Han began, her voice carrying across the assembly and broadcasting to every human world. "Today we learned that peace has a price. Today we learned that there are species in this galaxy who see our children as acceptable casualties." The assembly was silent. Every representative had seen the footage. Every one of them was thinking of their own children, their own schools, their own communities. The Vextar Dominion has demanded that we abandon our colonies. They have threatened to cleanse any world where humans remain. They believe we are weak because we choose peace over war, because we build schools instead of battleships, because we treasure our children more than territory. President Han paused, letting her words sink in. "They are wrong. We tried peace because we are strong enough to choose it. We built schools because we believe in the future. We treasure our children because they are our future. But when someone murders our children, when someone threatens our future, they discover what humans become when we stop choosing peace." The vote was unanimous. Every world, every colony, every human settlement agreed. The Vextar Dominion had declared war on humanity's children. Humanity would respond. On the industrial world of New Seoul, engineer Dong Hyun received new orders that made his hands shake. For 10 years, he had been working on classified defense projects. Weapons so terrible that they were locked away and never built. Now the locks were coming off. "Build everything," his commander told him. "Every weapon we've designed but never used. Every system we've planned but never deployed." "The children are dead, Dong-hyun. There are no limits anymore." Dong-hyun had children of his own, twin daughters who loved to draw pictures of spaceships and alien animals. He thought of Jinwoo and Hyejin, children just like his daughters, murdered for no reason except that they were human. He began pulling files from the deepest archives. Quantum disruptors that could collapse any shield. Gravity weapons that could crush entire fleets. Biological agents designed to target specific alien physiologies. Things that humanity had designed but never used because they were too terrible, too final. Now they would be used. On the farming world of New Incheon, Colony Administrator Young-soo was not waiting for orders from Earth. He had seen the footage from New Busan, had heard Dr. Kim's voice breaking as she named the dead children. He walked through his colony's school, looking at the human and alien children playing together, and felt a cold rage settle in his chest. "Emergency assembly. he announced over the colony's communication system. All adults to the community center. Children to remain in the school under guard. When the colonists gathered, Young-Soo showed them the footage. From New Busan, he watched parents clutch each other as they saw what had been done to children just like their own. The Vextar say they will cleanse any world where humans remain, Young-Soo said. I say let them come. But if they want our children, they'll have to go through us first. The colonists agreed. Within hours, farming equipment was being converted to weapons. Harvesting machines became mobile gun platforms. Irrigation systems became defensive networks. Every adult who could hold a weapon was armed and ready. Similar scenes played out across human space. On mining worlds, asteroid breakers were mounted on ships as weapons. On research stations, scientists worked around the clock to find weaknesses in Vextar technology. On trade routes, merchant captains volunteered their ships for the largest evacuation fleet in human history. Captain Yoon-Soo had been hauling cargo between the colonies for 15 years. She was not a soldier, had never wanted to be one. But when she saw the pictures of the dead children, she knew that some things were worth fighting for. Change course, she told her crew. Set coordinates for New Busan. Captain, said her pilot, that's a war zone now. The Vextar will destroy any ship that approaches. Then we better be ready to fight, Yoon-Soo replied. Those people need evacuation ships. Those children need to be brought to safety. We're going. Her crew looked at each other, then nodded. They had all seen the footage. They all understood. Dr. Woo Jin was a geneticist on the research world of New Daegu. She studied alien biology, looking for ways to help different species live together peacefully. When the news from New Busan arrived, she locked herself in her laboratory and began working on something very different. The Vextar had physiology files in the Galactic database. Dr. Woo Jin studied them carefully, looking for weaknesses, for vulnerabilities, for ways to hurt a species that hurt children. She worked for 18 hours straight, designing biological weapons that would target only Vextar biology. For Jinwoo, she whispered as she completed the first formula. For He-Jin. For all of them. Back on Earth, Admiral Sunho Kang stood on the bridge of the battleship Children's Promise, watching the largest fleet in human history assemble in space above the homeworld. Thousands of ships, from massive dreadnoughts to small fighters, all crewed by humans who had seen the footage from New Busan. His communication officer approached. Sir, we're receiving volunteers from across the galaxy. Military, civilian, merchant marine, even some of the alien refugees we've helped over the years. How many? Every human ship that can mount a weapon, sir. And about a dozen alien vessels whose crews want to fight alongside us. Sunho nodded. The galaxy was about to learn something about humans that they had forgotten in the peaceful years since Earth reached the stars. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their numbers. It was their love for their children. Captain Seong-Wan brought her mining ship into the fleet formation. The massive vessel had been designed to crack asteroids, but its plasma cutters could cut through battleship armor just as easily. Her crew was not military, but they had all volunteered when they heard about the murdered children. This is for Jinwoo Lee, she said over the ship's communication system, the boy who wanted to be a scientist, and for Hyejin Choi, who painted pictures of friendship, and for all the children who will never grow up because of what the Vextar did. Her crew stood at their stations ready for war. They were miners, engineers, technicians, but they were also human, and someone had hurt human children. That made them dangerous. The Vextar intercepted human communications and tried to understand what was happening. They heard phrases like, for the children and remember Aurora Academy, repeated over and over. They heard humans speaking of grief and rage and justice. Warcast. Techmore was not concerned. Humans were emotional creatures, he knew. They would scream and threaten, but in the end they would remember their weakness. They would remember that the strong ruled the weak. He was wrong. He did not understand that human emotion was not weakness. When channeled by love for their children, human emotion became the most powerful force in the galaxy. The fleet began moving toward Vextar space. Thousands of ships carrying millions of humans who had only one thought. Someone had murdered their children, and that could not stand. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when humans stopped choosing peace. The human defense fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Vextar territory. like a storm made of metal and fury. Admiral Sun Ho Kang stood on the bridge of the Children's Promise, watching the tactical display show thousands of human ships spreading across space in perfect formation. All ships. This is Admiral Kang, he broadcast to the fleet. Today we fight not for territory or resources. We fight for Jinwoo Lee, who loves science. We fight for Hyejin Choi, who painted friendship. We fight for 18 children who died because someone thought human lives were worthless. The response came back from every ship in the fleet. For the children, the first Vextar outpost they encountered was Epsilon Station, a military base on the outer edge of their territory. Commander In Young led the stealth ships in first, invisible to Vextar sensors until they were already inside the station's defenses. The Vextar garrison commander barely had time to activate his shields before human weapons tore through them like paper. Engineer Dong Hyun's quantum disruptors made their defensive systems collapse instantly. What should have been a difficult battle became a massacre. Vexitar Station Epsilon to any ships, came the panicked transmission. We are under attack by human forces. They're using weapons we've never seen before. Our shields are useless. They're not taking prisoners. Warcast Techmore received the transmission on his flagship deep in Vextar space. Impossible, he said. Humans do not have such technology. His intelligence officer looked worried. Sir, we're receiving similar reports from 3 other outposts. The humans appear to have deployed weapon systems that were not in our intelligence files. Then update the files. Techmore snapped. Humans are still weak. They may have surprised us, but they cannot sustain an assault against the full might of the Dominion. But he was wrong again. The humans were not just using new weapons. They were fighting with the intensity that shocked even veteran Vextar warriors. Captain Seung-Wan's mining ship arrived at Outpost Delta, her plasma cutters carving through Vextar cruisers like they were made of paper. This is for Jinwoo, she said over the communication channel as her ship destroyed a Vextar battleship. Remember his name? The Vextar tried to fight back, but they were not prepared for what they faced. Dr. Wu Jin's biological weapons hit their ships like invisible death, targeting only Vextar physiology. Soldiers who had never known fear suddenly found their own bodies betraying them. Colonel Jae-sung led the ground assault teams that boarded captured Vextar stations. His soldiers fought with a ferocity that terrified their enemies. They had all seen the footage from Aurora Academy. They all knew what the Vextar had done to human children. No prisoners was the order that came down from Admiral Kang. They showed no mercy to our children. They get none from us. The Vextar had expected humans to fight like they had before, with restraint and rules and concern for civilian casualties. They discovered that humans who fought for their children followed different rules. At the Battle of Kethmore Prime, pilot Chang Min found his fighter badly damaged by Vextar interceptors. His weapons were gone, his shields were down, and his life support was failing. Through his cracked canopy, he could see a massive Vextar cruiser moving to attack the transport ships carrying human refugees. This is Fighter 77 to all ships, he broadcast. Tell my kids I love them. Tell them this was for Jinwoo and Hyejin. He turned his fighter toward the cruiser and accelerated to full speed. The Vextar crew had only seconds to realize what was happening before the small human ship hit their bridge at nearly the speed of light. The explosion could be seen from 3 star systems away, word of the human. Assault spread through Vextar space faster than their ships could carry it. Species that had been conquered by the Dominion watched in amazement as their supposedly invincible masters were driven back system after system. The Torlani Confederation, traditional allies of the Vextar, received a visit from human ambassador Yoon Seo. She carried with her the footage from Aurora Academy and a simple message. The Vextar murdered human children, she said to the Torlani Council. Defenseless children in a school. You can stand with child killers or you can stand aside. But know this, any species that helps the Vextar fight humans will be considered an enemy of humanity. The Torlani watched the footage in horror. They had children of their own. They understood what the humans felt. The Torlani Confederation declares neutrality in this conflict, their leader announced. We will not assist either side. But privately, several Torlani ships began providing intelligence to human forces about Vextar fleet movements. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Species after species declared neutrality, or quietly began helping the humans. The few who tried to help the Vextar found their own worlds under attack by human forces that seemed to appear from nowhere. Captain Yunsu's merchant fleet had become a mobile command center, coordinating the evacuation of human colonies while simultaneously supplying the war fleet. Her ships moved through space like ghosts, appearing long enough to rescue civilians and disappear before Vextar forces could respond. "Captain," her communications officer called, "we're receiving a transmission from the Zeloni Republic. They want to offer sanctuary to human refugees." Yunsu smiled grimly. The Zeloni had children at Aurora Academy before the attack. Their little ones had played with Jin Wu and Hie Jin. They remembered. "Tell them we accept," she said, "and ask if they have any intelligence on Vextar fleet positions." The war was becoming more than just humans versus Vextar. It was becoming a war between those who protected children and those who killed them. The galaxy was choosing sides, and most of them were choosing against the Vextar. Warcast Tekmor found himself fighting a war unlike any he had ever experienced. The humans did not follow conventional tactics. They did not try to hold territory or establish supply lines. They simply appeared, destroyed everything they could reach, and vanished. His fleet had been reduced by half in just 3 months. His allies were abandoning him one by one. His own soldiers were beginning to question whether they could win against an enemy that fought without mercy or restraint. "Perhaps we should negotiate," suggested his advisor. "Offer the humans compensation for their losses." Tekmor turned on him with rage. "Never. The Vextar do not negotiate with inferior species. We are the strongest. We will prevail." But even as he said it, he knew it was not true. The humans had become something terrible and unstoppable. They had become a force of nature driven by love for their children and hatred for those who had harmed them. Dr. So-Young Kim, the broken mother who had broadcast the first message from New Busan, now wore the uniform of a Human Defense Force advisor. She had joined the fleet not to fight, but to ensure that the galaxy remembered why this war was being fought. "Admiral," she said to Sun Ho Kang as they watched another Vextar world surrender, "they're asking for terms. They want to negotiate. What are your recommendations, Doctor?" Dr. Kim thought of her daughter Min-hee, of Jin Woo with his scientific curiosity, of Hye Jin with her bright paintings of friendship. She thought of teacher Nam Jun, who had died trying to protect his students. "They didn't negotiate when they murdered our children," she said quietly. "Why should we negotiate now?" Admiral Kang nodded. "Agreed. Send them our terms: unconditional surrender, complete withdrawal from all human space, and Warcast Tekmor to be delivered for trial." The response from the Vextar was predictable. They refused. They would fight to the last ship rather than surrender to what they still saw as an inferior species. "Then we finish this," Admiral Kang said. "All ships set course for the Vextar homeworld. It's time to end what they started when they decided our children were acceptable casualties." The human fleet turned toward the heart of Vextar space, carrying with them the fury of a species that had been pushed too far. They carried the memory of 18 dead children, and the determination to ensure that no human child would ever again die for the crime of being human. The final battle was coming, and the galaxy held its breath to see what happened when humanity's love for their children met the full might of those who had dared to harm them. Warcast. Tekmor prepared his last defenses around the Vextar homeworld, not knowing that he was about to face an enemy that could not be stopped, could not be reasoned with, and would not rest until justice was done. The children of Aurora Academy would be avenged. The human fleet arrived at the Vextar homeworld like a plague of avenging angels. Thousands of ships filled the space around Kethvar Prime, their weapons trained on the planet that had spawned the monsters who murdered children. Admiral Sun Ho Kang stood on the bridge of the Children's Promise, looking down at the world below. It was beautiful in its way, with blue oceans and green continents, cities that sparkled in the sunlight. It reminded him of Earth, of the worlds where human children played and learned and dreamed. But this was the world that had produced Warcast Tekmor. This was the world whose leaders had decided that human children were acceptable casualties. "Dr. Kim," he said to the woman standing beside him, "you have the honor." Dr. So-Young Kim stepped forward to the communication station. 6 months ago, she had been a school administrator, worried about lesson plans and parent conferences. Now she wore the uniform of a Human Defense Force advisor, and her words would decide the fate of an entire species. "People of the Vextar Dominion," she began, her voice broadcasting to every communication device on the planet below. "I am Dr. So-Young Kim, 6 months ago, your warcast Thekmor ordered the destruction of Aurora Academy on New Busan. 18 human children died in that attack. My daughter Minhee was one of them. On the planet below, Vextar civilians listened in confusion and growing fear. They had been told that humans were weak, that the war was going well, that victory was certain. Now they saw the massive fleet in their sky and heard the broken voice of a human mother. Jinwoo Lee was 12 years old. Dr. Kim continued. He loved science and wanted to study alien biology. He believed that different species could learn from each other. Hyejin Choi was 8. She painted pictures of her alien classmates with bright, happy colors. She saw beauty in every living thing. General Bo Ram, promoted from her position as colony security chief, stood ready to coordinate the ground assault. She had been on New Busan when the attack happened. She had pulled small bodies from the rubble of the school. She had looked into the eyes of parents who had lost everything. Teacher Nam Jun died trying to protect his students. Dr. Kim's voice continued. He was 26 years old, fresh from university, full of hope for the future. He believed children were the most important thing in the universe. Warcast. Thekmor, in his command bunker deep beneath the planet's surface, listened to the human woman's words with growing unease. He had expected threats, demands for surrender, typical military communication. He had not expected this quiet recitation of names and lives. My daughter Minhee was 9 years old, Dr. Kim said, her voice starting to break. She loved to read stories about brave explorers who found new worlds. She wanted to be a teacher like Teacher Nam Jun. She dreamed of a universe where humans and aliens were friends. On the planet below, some Vextar were beginning to understand what they were hearing. This was not a military commander making demands. This was a mother speaking about her dead child. You called them acceptable casualties, Dr. Kim continued, her voice growing stronger. You destroyed a school full of children and felt no guilt, no shame, no regret. You thought humans would accept this because you believed we were weak? Captain Seungwan's mining ship was positioned over the largest Vextar military complex. Her plasma cutters, designed to carve through asteroids, were now aimed at the structures below. Around her, hundreds of other ships held similar positions. You were wrong about humans, Dr. Kim said. We are not weak. We choose peace because we are strong enough to make that choice. We build schools instead of warships because we believe in the future. We treasure our children because they are our future. Former Governor Tae-min Park, now serving as a human diplomat, monitored communications from across the galaxy. Species that had once feared the Vextar were now openly supporting the humans. The footage from Aurora Academy had spread to every world, every station, every ship in known space. But when you murder our children, Dr. Kim's voice carried across the planet, when you threaten our future, you discover what humans become when we stop choosing peace. The first orbital bombardment began with surgical precision. Captain Seungwan's ship targeted the military command center where Warcast Thekmor had planned the attack on New Busan. The building that had housed the orders to kill human children was erased from existence in seconds. This is not conquest, Dr. Kim announced as explosions lit up the planet's surface. This is justice. Every military installation that participated in the attack on Aurora Academy will be destroyed. Every commander who gave orders to kill children will answer for their crimes. Engineer Donghyun's quantum disruptors made the planet's defensive shields collapse like paper. Dr. Woojin's biological weapons ensured that only military targets were affected, that Vextar civilians would survive to rebuild their civilization. But the military infrastructure of the Vextar Dominion was being systematically destroyed. Bases, shipyards, command centers, weapon factories, everything that had made them a threat to human children was being wiped away. We are not like you, Dr. Kim continued. We do not target schools. We do not murder children, but we will ensure that you never again have the power to do what you did to our little ones. Ground forces led by General Bo Ram landed at strategic points across the planet. Their mission was specific: capture Warcast Thekmor and the other commanders who had participated in the Aurora Academy massacre. The Vextar military, what remained of it, tried to fight back. But they were facing human soldiers who fought with the fury of parents whose children had been murdered. There was no mercy, no quarter, no possibility of defeat. Warcast Thekmor, Dr. Kim's voice called across the planet's communication network. You ordered the death of my daughter. You called her an acceptable casualty. Come out and face justice for what you have done. In his bunker, Thekmore realized that his empire was ending. The mighty Vextar Dominion, conqueror of 100 worlds, was being brought down by humans who fought for love instead of conquest. His advisors were fleeing. His soldiers were surrendering. His allies had abandoned him. But he was Vextar. He would not beg for mercy from inferior species. He emerged from his bunker with a small guard unit, expecting to die in battle like a warrior. Instead, he found himself surrounded by human soldiers who looked at him with cold hatred. "War cast at Thekmore," General Boram said, her weapon trained on his chest. "You are under arrest for the murder of 18 human children." "I am a warrior of the Vextar Dominion," he replied. "I do not surrender to weaklings." "You're not surrendering," Boram said quietly. "You're being captured." "There's a difference." The trial of Warcasti Thekmore was broadcast across the galaxy. Every species, every world, every station watched as the architect of the Aurora Academy massacre faced justice. Dr. Kim testified about her daughter, about Jinwoo's love of science, about Hyejin's paintings of friendship. Governor Taemin described the peaceful colony that had been shattered by violence. General Boram spoke of pulling small bodies from the rubble. "Why?" Dr. Kim asked Thekmore during her testimony. "Why did you target children? What threat did they pose to your empire?" Thekmore looked at her with contempt. They were human. That was threat enough. The galaxy watched a monster reveal himself. They saw a creature so consumed by hatred that he could murder children without regret. They understood why humanity had fought so hard, why the response had been so overwhelming. The sentence was death, but not the warrior's death Thekmore expected. He would die as what he was, a child killer, despised by every civilized species in the galaxy. On the rebuilt Aurora Academy, now a memorial to the 18 children who had died, Admiral Sunho Kang delivered a speech to the galaxy. "We are not conquerors," he said, standing before a wall that listed every child's name. "We are not empire builders. We are protectors. We protect our children, our families, our friends, and any innocent being who asked for our help." Behind him, holographic images showed the faces of Jinwoo, Hyejin, Min-hee, and all the others. They smiled down at the gathering, forever young, forever remembered. "Touch our children," Admiral Kang continued, "and there is nowhere in this galaxy you can hide from humanity's will. We will find you. We will stop you, and we will ensure that you never again have the power to harm the innocent." The Vextar Dominion was no more. Their military was destroyed, their leaders captured or dead, their empire dissolved. The surviving Vextar civilians were rebuilding their world under the guidance of other species, learning new ways to live without conquest and violence. Across human space, new colonies were being established. Each one was protected by humans who remembered Aurora Academy. Each school had a plaque honoring Jinwoo, Hyejin, and all the children who had died. Engineer Dong Hyun designed better shields for colony worlds. Dr. Woo Jin developed medical advances to save more lives. Captain Seung Won patrolled trade routes to keep them safe for families and children. The galaxy had learned a new phrase in human standard: "Don't make us protect our own." Every species knew what it meant. Humans were peaceful, but they were not harmless. They would choose peace as long as peace was possible. But anyone who threatened their children would discover that humanity's love was the most dangerous force in the galaxy. In the Memorial Garden of Aurora Academy, children played among the flowers that